Concerned what it hit for, cause I've still come to raise hell like Mephisto. Please don't front, cause I'll karate chop your lymph node. Noodle arm punk you punch and end up with your wrist.
Welcome to 3-Count Commentaries. So let us discuss Impact Wrestling from January the 13th, 2022. I was about to say July. I was about to jump 6 months ahead. Oh boy. Now I actually enjoyed this episode of Impact. The booking is substantially better. The star power is there. The matches are better. Everything is better. Just a couple of weeks ago, Impact was on the verge of getting cut because it wasn't worth my time. Now, I'm like, hey, Impact is actually not so bad. There's a couple of long-running stories. There's some new introductions. There's some good stuff going on here, and it's very interesting. So. Here's to Impact being interesting again. All right, so it starts the show with Morrissey, who has been hunting Moose throughout the show, calling Moose out, telling Moose that he had Moose beat, and he should be the world champion, and he should get the first shot. Moose showed up on the screen almost as if Moose was prepared for him the whole time, and said that while he may have had him beat, he didn't beat him. And that he is actually more interested in fighting people who have not had championship matches already. And therefore, he says that Morrissey needs to get his ass at the back of the line. Scott D'Amore agreed with this, and Morrissey said nobody except him is getting a title shot. So we started the show hot with Morrissey being an absolute douchebag and demanding the full attention of Moose. Later in the show, we get Brian Myers. He's back. He's in person, hanging out with Zicky Dice and VSK, who he is embarrassed by, as they're his last two students left from the learning tree. Throughout this thing, we learned that Zicky Dice is the opponent, as Moose had issued an open challenge, or I think Moose had got an opportunity to choose his own opponent. And he chose Zicky Dice, who he said was going to be a night off. So Zicky Dice then starts to his training, which is eating a mammoth pizza. It is one of the biggest pizzas I've ever seen a human being handle in his hands, let alone eat slices of. I think a slice of that pizza is like a whole pizza unto itself. It is absolutely absurd. I wonder how much that thing costs. So as we're talking about the world title, Josh Alexander has an issue with this. Josh Alexander says that him and Scott D'Amore made a deal. He could only get a world title match if he kept his emotions in check. And he says it took a lot of time, and he suffered a lot of setbacks, a lot of distractions. So Minoru Suzuki and Jonah and some other guys who kept getting in the way. But he never lost focus, because beating Moose has been his main focus, and that what Moose did to him and his family is burned into his mind, and it was also burned into his mind is the feeling of holding that Impact World Championship again, and that he's the unrecognized champion until Moose actually beats him, and said that Moose has been ducking him. He, like Morrissey before him, said that there will be no World Championship match, not unless they go through him. This leads Charlie Haas to come out there. Charlie Haas, who the last time I saw him, he looked like Skeletor. He actually looked fairly healthy here, so I'm glad to see it. So Charlie Haas come out there and he talks about the similarities between him and Josh Alexander. How they both are half of great tag teams. They both love the style and the craft of pro wrestling. They both study the game. And he says he still feels like he still got it. And Josh Alexander is the pinnacle. He wants to test himself against Josh Alexander. Respectful challenge between the two of them. Josh Alexander says, hey, it would be an honor to wrestle you, but right now my focus is on that world title. And when I win it, I'll give you the first shot. Charlie Haas didn't like that too much and decided that he was going to start a fight. So because Josh Alexander did not want any more obstacles in his way of becoming world champion again, he respectfully declined or postponed his match with Charlie Haas. until some ill-defined later date, which means Charlie Haas had to start the fight, which he did. He threw the first punch. They got into a bit of a scrap. Then the security, referees, whatever, broke it up. Then Josh Alexander accepted his match. So this will be next week, Charlie Haas versus Josh Alexander. Now, we know from spoilers that Charlie Haas got a concussion in this match. So I'm guessing he's lost, of course. But he got a concussion in this match. So, it's real sad that, he was finally kind of, I guess you could say, making a comeback, and it was cut so short. I like the Josh Alexander direction that we're going here with him. It's like an anime protagonist. He's got this overall goal of becoming the world champion again. And now all these mini games keep popping up. It's like an RPG. It's like you're playing Final Fantasy or something. It's like, okay, save the world. That's the overall goal. But meanwhile, you got to save this town. Meanwhile, this is a little girl that's lost. You got to go pick her up. Meanwhile, hey, there's some materia buried under some rocks here in this ice cave. You got to go get those. Oh, yeah, you got to go get the keys to this long lost dungeon so you can get your next ally. And this is like all this stuff in Josh Alexander's way. And, as a fan, you're kind of looking at it like, okay, finally he gets to move on. It's like, nope. He keeps getting yanked in a different direction. It's kind of cool, because we're not losing sight of his goal, which is to be the world champion, but we're also building up other things and making him look good because he's wrestling in these matches against some pretty big names. He wrestled Minoru Suzuki. He wrestled Jonah, who's, fresh off of his New Japan run. Now he's wrestling Charlie Haas, who has a reputation. I'm not saying that Charlie Haas is like a high level opponent, but he's a talented guy, named from the past. This kind of stuff is important. So this is good. I like this. And this, of course, means that Josh Alexander will not be there to interfere with the world title because now he's frustrated and dealing with Charlie Haas. So now we get our not the main event, not even the co-main event. The fourth match on the show, Zicky Dice versus Moose for the World Heavyweight title. Moose is wearing a suit, I believe purple suit, if I remember correctly, which tells us how much he cared about this match. Zicky Dice came into the ring, was introduced. He punched Moose once. He went to punch Moose again, got hit with a Uranagi, 1 foot on the chest, and pinned. What a epic waste of everybody's time. Immediately after the pinfall, Morrissey comes running out there. Him and Moose get into a brawl. VSK, who is part of Brian Myers' stable, gets in the ring to kind of distract Morrissey. Morrissey boots VSK, chokeslam him. As that's all happening, Moose has gotten the hell out of there. So Morrissey chases Moose through the building and chases him to his car as he drives off. I'm kind of beginning to wonder here if Moose is clearly still the heel, but so is Morrissey turning face, or what are we doing here? Like, I like that he's still in the conversation, even though I kind of question whether he should be, considering his last big match was an L to Eddie Edwards. But I mean, it is what it is. This was all serviceable. This was all fine. Moose has several different challengers. There's going to be more popping up soon, but he's got this Morrissey challenge that's waiting in the wings, and he's slowly but surely knocking off his opponents. And I'm guessing they're going to try to shoot for Josh Alexander versus Moose. What's up first? Maybe that Rebellion show. I think they tend to think that the Rebellion show is a big show, so maybe we'll go with that. Maybe I think that will be their match. The next segment was Ring of Honor guys. So Matt Taven decides to take over commentary shortly after Moose and Morrissey have run off earlier in the show. He calls D'Lo a Melvin, says, "Don't be a Melvin. Don't be a Melvin. Just give me the headset." He takes the headset from D'Lo and Tom Hannafin, a.k.a. Tom Phillips. Vincent is there laughing like a psycho. He's not wearing shoes. He looks like he stinks. It's just a weird thing going on here. I'm just never going to get over the fact that these two guys just had a blood feud and now they're buddies in Impact. It's so bizarre. In any event, D'Lo Brown decided he was going to throw a punch. He punched Vincent, and then all the Ring of Honor guys kind of swarmed on him. Taven, Vincent, PCO, Mike Bennett. He beat the hell out of D'Lo, and PCO smashed him through a table with, I think, a senton from the top rope. Real crazy stuff. And a great hook, because D'Lo was out for the rest of the show, and D'Lo's spot was taken by various wrestlers, people who will be feuding with other people throughout the night. So, this is where we get our Ring of Honor portion of the show. As, now they've taken out D'Lo, Impact is even more flustered because they're like, what the hell are we supposed to do now? And Matt Taven promised this is not going to be the last time you see them for the evening. He's the voice of this whole thing now, I guess. Maria hasn't said anything. Nobody else has said anything. It's all Matt Taven, which, Taven's, I guess, is the best promo of the bunch, with the exception of Vincent. And Vincent cuts those Bray Wyatt wandering promos. So I guess Taven is the best in the bunch, which says a lot when Matt Taven. And you know what? Matt Taven fits here in Impact too. He just fits in Impact and in goddamn NWA. I wish he wasn't on both shows. I wish he would pick one and stay there. Him and Cardona. It's like, them being on both shows, it feels like I'm watching the same show sometimes. But it also is kind of confusing because it's very different presentations as far as, their baby faces on NWA, their heels here. It's so weird. Anyway, to continue this theme, Rich Swann is upset. These Ring of Honor guys, or some of them, are his friends and people that he knew. But Heath doesn't know these guys. He spent 15 years in WWE. He doesn't know anybody outside of there except Rhino. So Eddie Edwards, who also spent a lot of time in Ring of Honor, says, look, this ain't Ring of Honor. We need to split up and find these guys. He decided to pull a Scooby-Doo, that there's a mystery afoot, and they need to split up in order to figure it out. So I guess you can figure out what happens after this, after they decide to split up. Yeah, they get beat up one at a time. Yeah, that occurs. So, Violent by Design, who they were feuding with, and the Good Brothers. The Good Brothers are wondering what the hell is the point of this continuing this relationship, considering they lost the Hardcore War match. They're like, okay, why are we still doing this? What is the point of this? Violent by Design was kind of offended, saying, hey, you guys are kind of implying that we are the reason you lost, when it was Carl Anderson who got beat. Eric Young says that this is a business deal and they still have business to finish. Somebody starts screaming in the backstage, oh, hey, Rhino and Heath, they need help. Hey, somebody help us, please. So the heels naturally run over to see if the baby faces are okay. And they look down and they're like, hey, bro, are you all right, man? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? And then they kick his ass like they should have, which was great. They jumped and they whipped his ass. That was good. I thought that was pretty good. I like that. Later in the show, Tennille Dashwood and Madison Rayne continue their mockery of the Inspiration, calling them lazy, and challenged them again for a match on the 27th. At this point, Decay comes out there and cornered them. Havoc's hair is a bright orange. It is hard to look at. It's hard to see. It looks like a child playing with magic markers in her head. It is awful, sir. It is atrocious. Anyway, there's more calling out. No, hey, help. We've been getting beat up. Oh, no. We're getting our asses kicked. And then they look, and it's Eddie Edwards that got beaten up now. So Eddie Edwards got his ass whiz-zipped. And I was like, oh, that's unfortunate, Eddie. But, hey, the less Eddie Edwards on this show, the better. I can promise you that. This brings us to near the main event. Earlier in the show, Scott D'Amore says that he had talked to the Ring of Honor. He called Baltimore. He talked to the relevant officials of Ring of Honor and says that he was assured that the only two official representatives of Ring of Honor are Roxy and Jonathan Gresham. Everyone else is a rogue agent operating without any knowledge of what's going on by Ring of Honor management. This led Jonathan Gresham to completely and totally disavow everybody that had been causing problems in Impact. Jonathan Gresham is continuing his storyline of being the foundation, saying that he represents true Ring of Honor and not like all the other people that have been running around. And he says that, hey, since we're on hiatus, there's been a little bit of a war, a little bit of a disagreement about what Ring of Honor will become. And I represent the truest history of Ring of Honor, the pure wrestling of Ring of Honor. And those guys don't represent Ring of Honor at all. This led Steve Maclin to show up, which I have no idea why Steve Maclin was there. And he just seemed to be randomly picked from the ether. But here he is. So Steve Maclin says that he didn't really believe Jonathan Gresham at first. But at the same time, he was also pretty upset that Jonathan Gresham would turn his back on the company that made him. That he was being disloyal. He wasn't a loyal soldier. And Jonathan Gresham says, okay, look, I get it. You want to wrestle me for this in the Ring of Honor World title, which Maclin says, absolutely. So the match is set up for next week. Jonathan Gresham versus Steve Maclin for the Ring of Honor World title, which is going to be held under pure rules. So this is the Ring of Honor World title of Gresham. Okay, cool. I don't mind this match. I think this match is actually pretty sweet. I don't know if Maclin needs to take another loss so soon, but he's going to. There's no way he's going to be the Ring of Honor World Champion, right? Ian Riccaboni is here. As I said earlier, D'Lo Brown got killed by PCO. And so now Ian Riccaboni is there to help call the Ring of Honor Women's World title match, which is technically a title for title match. Roxy versus Deonna Purrazzo, which is the main event of the show. Riccaboni apologized on behalf of Ring of Honor to Impact and all of the crazy stuff that's been going on. Said that Taven and all of his shenanigans has been hurting his heart. He hates to see the good name of Ring of Honor ran through the mud. He wants Ring of Honor to be remembered as, a great place for professional wrestling and not for the goon behavior of Taven and his friends. So Roxy, who had been met earlier by Mickie James sat down with Roxy, who looks like a scared lamb. She really came across like Bambi in that promo as Mickie James sat down and was telling her, oh yeah, I've met with Deonna Purrazzo so many times. She's so slippery and she know every trick in the book. But you're ready, Roxy. You got this. You earned that world title. It's all good. Roxy showed zero personality. No confidence. Her shoulders were all slumped. She looked like she was in a ball. I know she's very young, but they didn't coach her up or anything to make her seem like a star or seem like she was a big deal. She seemed like a little girl in over her head. That's what it felt like. So they go into the match, Roxy versus Deonna Purrazzo, title for title. Deonna Purrazzo is the Reina de Reinas Triple A Women's World Champion, and Roxy is the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion. And so the winner walks away with both belts, So this match was very good. Matthew Raywalt was also on commentary because somebody had to speak on behalf of Deonna Purrazzo. Otherwise, you got two babyface commentators. So Deonna Purrazzo does what she does, which is targeting the arm. The finish for Roxy is the Code Red, which she actually did hit on Deonna Purrazzo, but Deonna Purrazzo kicked out. The finishing sequence I thought was pretty good. Roxy was locked in the armbar submission, and it looked like she was going to pass out. I don't know how you pass out from an armbar. I just don't know. But she was in an armbar and she was kind of passing out, and the referee was about to ring the bell to stop the match. Then Roxy reached out and grabbed his pant leg and was kind of firing up like, no, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. And the referee just kept looking like, okay, do you? And she just was clutching that pant leg, just clutching it. And Deonna Purrazzo was, putting a lot of effort into this armbar. She's yanking back and forth and stomping and jumping up and down and everything. And it's real intense. So as she sticks her arm out, Deonna Purrazzo is like, oh, she's going to give me the other arm. So, of course, she punches and separates that hand from the referee's leg and then double hooks the submission, and Roxy submits. So now Deonna Purrazzo has won the Ring of Honor Women's World Title. Good match. I definitely think it could have been better, but this was pretty good. Deonna Purrazzo is back being the champ, which is great. She's been perhaps one of the top 5, maybe even number 1 women's wrestler in the world for the last 2 years, maybe 3. You know, I don't know. How long has she been in Impact? She's been in Impact at least 2 years. Okay, so let's say 2. Since she left, she has been on fire. She has been very fucking good. And people have been sleeping on Deonna Purrazzo. She's been really good. After the match, Maria appeared and got in Deonna Purrazzo's face. Deonna Purrazzo just kind of shooed her away because, I mean, she is Maria. That's all she will ever be. Matthew Raywalt decided he was going to defend Deonna Purrazzo by getting in the face of Maria. Of course, he got jumped and stomped out and beat up by the Ring of Honor guys. Then Willie Mack and Rich Swann ran down there to try to make the save, only to get the tar kicked out of them too. So the Ring of Honor guys just stomped out and beat up everybody all night long. This was good. I like the Ring of Honor stuff. This is very good. Now, what makes this even better, and because it's deep lore, this what I like about it, because there was already, before Ring of Honor kind of shuttered or going on hiatus, quote unquote, there was a lot of talk about what Ring of Honor was. You know, the foundation. Then you had La Facción Ingobernables, you had Violence Unlimited, and you had the Foundation. These were these 3 groups that were operating within Ring of Honor that was having a faction war over the heart and soul of Ring of Honor. And Jonathan Gresham represented the Foundation, which is pure wrestling, pro wrestling with rules, strict rules. And then you have Violence Unlimited, which got by a sort of honorable, a duel by any means necessary. But if it means hit you with a chair, I hit you with a chair because we're assholes. So what? You know, the rules be damned. We agree to go in there and throw our best shit at each other. And you know, now Brody King is gone, so you can't do that. He was the leader of that group. So I'm guessing he has some type of exclusive deal with AEW, so he's gone. And Jay Lethal is also gone, so they wrote him out of the Foundation before before this thing even happened. Then you had the third faction was La Facción Ingobernable, which is the chaotic heel. Basically, you know, again, by any means necessary, but they disregard honor completely. And that's Roosh and Dragon Lee and all those guys. So they were doing this sort of thing before Ring of Honor went on hiatus. All they did was change the players. So now it's Taven and all these guys who are basically being dishonorable and going against trying to change what Ring of Honor was and what Ring of Honor means. And I like it. I still like it. You know, not a big fan of some of these players. Again, Mike Bennett is the driest of bagels in the world. Not a huge fan of Matt Taven. You give Matt Taven a paycheck, I don't know why you would do that. It's a mistake. I like Vincent, but he's a bit of a mystery here. Again, Vincent and Taven were just trying to kill each other. It was really weird. And PCO has signed with Impact, by the way, which I think is pretty cool. I mean, the guy's in his mid to late 50s. He had a career resurgence. You know, he won a world title, he won the Ring of Honor world belt. So you're talking about a guy who ain't got that many runs left. You know, this might be fun. He might be able to run with Decay for a while. That ought to be fun. You know, it might be some cool stuff he might be able to do with PCO while he's around. But and I think I'm missing somebody. I already talked about Maria. Who cares about Maria? But I'm interested. I don't like the Impact team, though. The Impact team consists of Eddie Edwards, who I don't like, Rich Swann, who I don't like, Willie Mack, who I'm ambivalent about, and Rhino and Heath, which I'm kind of like, I don't really, they don't really resonate as being Impact guys to me. But it seems like that's the best they could do right now, or the only people that they can really scratch up to represent Impact at the moment, because they're, all of these guys are like long-term Ring of Honor guys. So I would think that somebody like maybe Chris Sabin would be one of the guys that would be on the Impact side. And I think he would be like one of the guys that would be there. Maybe he'll end up getting in there eventually, but whatever. But I liked it. I liked all the Ring of Honor stuff. This stuff has been really good so far as the Ring of Honor invasion. The second match on the show, Jake Something does the JOB for Speedball Mike Bailey. And I'm tired of seeing big dudes lose to fucking midgets. Come on, please. Speedball Mike Bailey's finisher is called the Ultimate Weapon, which is a shooting star double knee thing. I don't care. Look, he might not be a bad wrestler or a bad guy. I haven't heard Mike Bailey cut a single promo. I can't judge him from that perspective. I don't like how all the kung fu shit he's doing, all the Karate Man stuff. It reminds me of like one of those bad Ninja B movies. But Jake Something is a big dude. He's a hoss. There's no reason for him to be doing jobs like this. This is embarrassing. It sucks. Matt Cardona was talking about losing at Hard to Kill and how he came up short. But he says he needs to create his own luck and find his own opportunities. Chelsea Green was there and said she feels that he is selling himself short, but she also fell short. She had an opportunity to win too and got screwed over. Then Tasha Steelz came out there and said that Chelsea Green wasn't hungry, that Tasha is all about that by any means necessary, being a winner, and said that, she saved Chelsea Green a problem, because how can Chelsea Green be a winner and wake up every day next to a loser like Matt? So Chelsea Green challenged Tasha Steelz to a match, to which of course she declined and said the match wouldn't benefit her. Then Chelsea Green shoved Tasha Steelz onto the floor as dramatic music played. It was some really dramatic music too. I was like, when did they decide to start adding the dramatic music to these promos? But the match is set. It will be Chelsea Green versus Tasha Steelz next week. Okie dokie. I don't care. Masha Slamovich defeated Vert Vixen. I think she's a regular on AEW Dark. I think she's in. The first match on the show was Chris Bay versus the Laredo Kid. Chris Bay. This match was pretty good too. I thought I had fun with this, man. Laredo Kid wins with the top rope C4. I still think we should be doing more with Chris Bay. I think, again, ever since they started doing this Bullet Club shit with Chris Bay, he's been completely off the rails. He was so much better before they started doing that shit. I know he's probably selling more t-shirts and therefore he don't care, but this is horse shit. It sucks. That was the first match on the show. Laredo Kid taunts Trey Miguel, wants the X Division title. I'm like, okay, but he already lost. He didn't lose that Fatal 4-Way or something like that? Why did he want a title shot? He should get nothing. You get nothing. And the last thing here is that Raj Singh was defeated by Jonah. Raj Singh is a proud Desi warrior representing his people, and says he's been dealing with disrespect. He come out here to do a very generic Indian heel, and says that he doesn't care who he has to fight and who he has to add to his slap schedule, which I thought was hilarious and probably some of the funniest stuff I've heard on TV in a long time. I will definitely be incorporating slap schedule into future disses and future sayings of mine. That's going in the dictionary. The MongoSlade dictionary will include slap schedule. In any event, he got slap scheduled because Jonah crushed him, and that was about it. So that was the entire show for the most part, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think Impact really knocked it out of the park with this episode. Top to bottom, the first match and the main event, very good. Some really good segments in the middle. Some threads, storylines that I can actually discuss and flesh out and talk about. It's so much better than it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. Impact is good. It's good. Hopefully this keeps up. They found a storyline that works. They've got some momentum. this is good. You know, a couple of weeks ago, man, I was ready to cut the cord, but now, you know, I'm seeing signs of life from old Impact. Impact, you know, Impact and Ring of Honor, man, they're the cockroaches of the wrestling business. They won't go away. You know, Ring of Honor is still around. Even right now, like the soul of Ring of Honor now has infested and possessed Impact. It's like Boa from NXT 2.0. It's like there's regular Boa, which is boring, bland, and nothing, which is Impact last year. It was awful. Then you add a little bit of spice to it. Now it's got face paint and magic, which is just adding a little bit of Ring of Honor to this. Maybe it's because I already like Ring of Honor, and therefore, and plus I already know I feel like I know the backstory to a lot of this stuff. I can't guess where it's going to end because obviously they've added Impact to it, so it's like it's going to end up. But it's not just a regular, the organizations are at war kind of thing. It's more like there's an internal war with Ring of Honor, and there's the external Ring of Honor guys who are effing shit up in Impact. So it's very fun. But let me know what you guys think of this whole thing. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel. Peace and blessings. I'll talk to you guys later.
MagMongoSlade. Best house I ever drew, Daddy.